how you basically utilizing CalCloud now and the scalability, but have you found that to be an easy process, a difficult process, or?
It's actually a pretty easy process. I just wanted to, I know I wasn't asked the question, but I wanted to talk about the security about cloud. We've been using cloud already, and we're one of the first department to use cloud. And we chose a cloud solution that is FedRAMP and have all the security, but it is still the responsibility of the department to configure their application correctly. You can be as secure as you want, but if your configuration is not secure, you're still going to get compromised. I just want to point that out. And with CalCloud, what happens is I have a very small IT shop. And the CalCloud benefits to us is because we have, as a small IT department, we sometimes don't get the vendor to support us. And CalCloud, we have the partnership with Director Ramos and Chief Deputy Chris Cruz. They provide us with expert services like the enterprise architect and the information security offices. We have a small IT shop, and sometimes we do not have those. And we can go to them and say, we need this. Can you help us? And they're there to help us. And that's why CalCloud is important. We are one of the, in fact, our project won the award, and it was using a cloud-based solution based in San Francisco. So, Salesforce.
Okay. No, thank you. I think it kind of, as other partners and agencies are looking at developing this, I think it's good to know like how easy, how hard, what things need to be factored, the scalability, which we've talked about as well, the elasticity moving forward. But gentlemen, is it anything else that the panel would like to share before we kind of close this panel up?
I think one of the things that Director Ramos mentioned was the original intent of CalCloud was to host new systems. The reality is all of our departments have a lot more systems in play than we're developing new. And the opportunity to move some of these legacy systems into CalCloud, it does improve in a number of areas, security or disaster recovery processes. In some instances, we haven't built out disaster recovery in some of these systems because it was cost prohibitive. It's now part of the package and actually will come in at a lower cost. But that portability, that move from wherever we are, even if we're already at the state data center, into CalCloud is not a simple lift and shift. You don't pick it up or flip a switch one day. It is a significant investment in time and effort to do that. And while there's a lot of marketing, and we all see cloud commercials on TV, every sporting event and during evening television, it has great utility, but it's not easy. And what it allows us to do is really achieve some improvements, but there's an investment in getting there as well. And so one of the things that Director Ramos is looking at the timing of that. As existing contracts are beginning to sunset, at the end of life of a system, can it be incorporated into a service that's already there? It does get to standardization, not necessarily required standardization, but if now 4, 5, 15, 20 departments are using the same tool, as an employer, that makes it much more easy for me to train to it and to know there's a workforce out there that I can consume from. So it actually helps our business operations in a number of ways, not just the tool that we're providing itself, but in that staffing, in that training, in the ability to ensure a secure environment, a number of other aspects.
Moving away from proprietary databases or software.
Absolutely. So thank you for the opportunity to address.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being with us this morning, now afternoon. So before public comment, let me go ahead and call up the Department of Technology. I believe Mr. Ramos is still here, Mr. Cruz. Maybe just to provide you an opportunity to respond to some of the comments we just heard from our second panel. Do you want to?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, please. Thank you. So, thank you for joining us again. But just wanted to provide you the opportunity. Obviously, based off the comments from panel number 2, we heard about the cost analysis cloud implementation, which we did talk about a little bit during when you were first up, the workload. One thing we didn't talk about was an agency that wanted to opt out or what kind of fits their needs. The performance matrix, I believe we did talk about. But even if you want to address some of those and then maybe conclude about well, let's start there. Let's start with those four, and then we'll move on.
Sure. So thank you for the opportunity to be back with you, Carlos Ramos and Chris Cruz from the Department of Technology. We actually did talk about, the agency that wants to move off. Mr. Frazier was asking the question of, would you be supportive? Would you help them? Would you work with them? I think as you heard from Mr. Nichols, we do that already. So we would. We are working with agencies collaboratively. It's not a dictate, or it's not a, you will or else suffer all the consequences sort of a discussion. It really is a collaborative and very thoughtful and thorough assessment of what are their technology needs. So my answer to that would be the same as I told Mr. Frazier. Yes, we do, in fact, do that today. But again, we haven't gotten those sorts of requests as much as folks would like to say that. But we definitely are interested in working with agencies and departments in that way. One of the I don't know if you asked this question, but we have reached out to and worked with our provider community, vendor community, or partner community, however you want to call them, and work with them very directly in terms of bringing the best services to our cloud portfolio. We've reached out and connected with the associations, the representative associations. You heard this morning, what they would like is, just say cloud, but let anybody come in and offer services, and don't pick winners and losers, I guess is what they called it, which in my mind says don't settle on an enterprise approach to things. Don't pick a common set of tools. We have to balance the needs of the state as well as the desires of the vendor community. You also heard from one of our better cloud providers, Mr. McKee, that scale is important. If you're going to come in and do business with the state, one of the promises and one of the values would be you're getting scale and you're getting commonality. So as a state CIO, one of the things that I do want is I want innovation. I want good value for my agencies, for the state agencies, but I also want to start to build in a common set of tools so that as departments start to try and connect their systems or try to collaborate or try to work together, or as staff move from department to department, which happens a lot, we don't have to go and retrain them on a whole new tool set. There's no reason why you need to have 17 different email systems.
Correct.
Right? If it's a common tool set, let's pick one. Or let's pick two and go with those. So so it's going to be a balance, and ultimately, as we go out to procure, which we do and which we're required to do, it's going to be competitive. There is going to be a winning bidder, a winning company. And the ones that didn't win, I guess you could consider them losers, but they do have the opportunity to bid.
I think that being said, too, we're always open to working with the associations and Ms. DeVoe's organization as well to sit down and find common ground where it's applicable.
Sure.
So.
And in fact, we mentioned a forum that we had back in September. We have another one coming up in April, specifically for the companies that are interested in being part of our cloud services portfolio. Again, we're going to go through and say, look, here's what we've found. Here's what our customers want. Here's what's working. Here's where we need to tweak things. So that's coming up as well. We'd invite any of the members of the legislature or staffers that want to attend. It'll be right here in town.
Yeah, our goal is to do those quarterly vendor meetings on a quarterly basis, and again, give them an opportunity to solicit questions to us and ask questions and get the right feedback. And we found that information to be of quite a value in evolving CalCloud to where we are today. So it's been a good partnership.
And finally, I would say, Mr. Chair, I want to thank you and Chairman Chow for inviting our customers to come and speak, because I think you were able to hear from them directly. What did they find as a value? How easy or difficult is it to work? Are we really working with them, or just trying to force fit them into a certain direction? And so I appreciate the the fact that you offered them the opportunity to come up and speak.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, we'll try to be fair. But let me ask, and this will probably be a topic for a future hearing, but we're talking about capacity, scalability, and I know Mr. Chow is very concerned about privacy with his committee, but it's no longer the fear of somebody breaking into a physical location, right, for the amount of data and what we're talking about over the internet, but identity theft and basically somebody that's credentialed to access the servers. That's really where the breach is, not so much somebody tearing down a door. And given that we heard from one of the vendors today, but it almost sounded like they're better equipped to kind of deal with these large scale kind of attacks. And I know with CalCloud, we're hosting our own building and our own servers for the state, but is it smart for the state of California to continue to move that way? Are we going to have to, or will we always be behind the curve in terms of server capacity and bandwidth and this elasticity kind of moving forward and providing those security protocols that we need in place? Or would it be better to partner with others in doing that?
So I guess I would address that in a couple of ways. I think what you heard Mr. McKee talk about was the certifications that they meet. You heard me talk about those same certifications. We meet those as well.
Mm-hmm.
You heard him talk about his or Microsoft's data center staff being fingerprinted and cleared, the ones at least in California.
Mm-hmm.
We do that as well. So I'm not sure that I agree with the premise that we're not equipped or that we're only focusing on physical security. Now, we do that as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
We secure our physical locations as well, but that by no means is the approach that we're taking. You heard me describe earlier a layered approach to security, which with full recognition of the fact that devices are connected and systems are connected, and the frontiers are really out there in the Ethernet. The other thing that we didn't talk about it today, but the threat landscape is constantly evolving, right? So we heard a little bit about this at the privacy hearing. California is in the process of putting in place a cybersecurity integration center that's going to allow us to share information not just among ourselves, but Department of Defense, the DOJ, Office of Homeland Security. So we're going to be getting constant and continuous information on the threat assessments and vulnerabilities that are out there in the threat landscape. And by leveraging those different entities, and in some cases partnering with external entities too, be able to provide response and remediation when an issue does happen. So I guess what I would say is, California, I believe, in the area of cybersecurity is actually out ahead again of most governments. I think we do a very thorough and a comprehensive and layered approach here in California, CalCloud being no exception. And to your point, we are partnering. Microsoft is one of our partners in CalCloud. So what they have, they're bringing it to the table as well.
Yeah, I think another important area of concern that needs to be addressed is also antivirus patching and firewall. That all comes through our state data centers. We're managing that with resources today, monitoring the firewalls and monitoring traffic over the whole IP network for the state. So we're addressing those issues or things that come up or phishing issues, and we're remediating them with our anti-software devices. So that's really important. That's the first line of defense, if you will, coming into the state. And how we manage that, and we continue to secure that and use the latest and greatest software that helps us remediate that.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Any additional comments before we move on to public comment?
No, thank you for the opportunity to be here and your continued interest in not only CalCloud and cybersecurity, but really in things IT. I really do welcome that partnership and that focus from members of the legislature.
Thank you.
We look forward to continuing the dialogue and information sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you for the partnership. Thank you.
So at this time, let me go ahead and open it up for public comment. If there's any members of the audience that would like to provide public comment, please come forward. I believe we have a... Please join us. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity. I'll make this very quick. It's lunchtime. We have a simple request, and appreciate the conversation today. We still believe the state's cloud policy is a bit outdated when it comes to harnessing the cloud. We've talked about this preference to CalCloud, and if you read the cloud policy as it exists, it says that the agencies, the CalCloud's customers, shall use cloud services provided through the Office of Technology Services as the first choice cloud computing solution for all new IT projects. If required, services are not available through OTech, then you can use commercial cloud offerings. Our request and our urge to the legislature and to the state is to open up that policy. Instead of it, we consider that a CalCloud first policy versus a more pure cloud-first policy to open up that first choice to commercial offerings on equal footing with CalCloud. The state has done a great job in encouraging greater participation through CalCloud. They are providing competitive, it sounds like, services. Let's foster that competition and give agencies and departments potentially greater choice and greater offerings by making that policy open to all. So that's our request. I didn't say at the beginning, my name is Robert Callahan. I'm with the Internet Association. We represent the country's largest internet companies, and that's our position. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Callahan. Additional comments from the audience? Okay. Hearing and seeing none. Let me go ahead and just say that we'll continue to be having these hearings. We're having them at least once a year, but during the interims, during that year, we are following up with the departments, issuing letters back and forth, phone calls and whatnot. But if there are additional concerns, especially as we continue to move forward, whether it's Mr. Callahan or others, our main goal is to make sure that we're using technology as efficiently and as effectively as possible. That we're ensuring that privacy is there, that we're streamlining government, and that the costs are brought down for the taxpayers. And so with that, we'll continue to have these discussions. Appreciate everyone being here this afternoon. I don't know if Mr. Chow, you have some closing comments, but if not, then let me go ahead and just conclude this joint hearing between the Assembly Accountability and Administrative Review and Privacy and Consumer Protection, and it is 12:22. Thank you all for being here.